Gambling 101, or how to go from zero to hero in 6 months in the gambling industry. We've already been through why it's a good idea to get up to speed in the gambling industry, how certain facts and knowledge will be valuable to you, especially when talking with customers, suppliers, and business partners. But in this module, we are going to be talking about some of the words that come to mind that describe this industry. Think of these words as headlines, the key issues that totally describe the gaming industry. Hopefully, as we explore these concepts, you will see exactly why there is so much nuance and depth to this industry. So here are some of the words that come to mind when describing the gaming industry: global, wealthy, collegial, entrepreneurial, political, influential, regulated, opportunity, fascinating, entertaining, diverse, and last but not least, evolving. So they are the headlines. Now we're going to explore each of those concepts quickly. Let's take a minute or two on each concept so that you can understand a little bit more about this industry. By the way, some of this stuff may really resonate with you and other stuff won't. That's totally fine. That's what it means to be human. So let your mammalian brain take in the stuff that means the most to you, the concepts that you can absorb, leverage, and get results from right away. Okay, without further ado, let's get on with it. The gaming industry is global. According to Global Industry Analysts, Inc., the global gambling industry will reach $876 billion by 2026. According to the American Gaming Association, the value of gambling to the economy in the United States is valued at $261 billion as of 2020. Just the legal online gaming component of that right now is $70 billion. What you need to know is that gambling exists in every country, in every nook and cranny of every community and society. Whether it's betting on horse racing, the sport of kings, or whether it's playing a friendly game of poker with friends, gambling will exist in our society. We want to talk about legal gambling, where people are protected by regulations and laws. That's important. If people are going to gamble anyway, isn't it best that they're protected by clear regulations? One final thing to add is that you will travel. If you are in a customer-facing or commercial role, you will have opportunities to travel the world, whether it's for gaming shows, strategic events, or meetings with customers, business partners, or regulators. So make sure your passport is up to date and that you have some good luggage ready. That sounds tongue-in-cheek, but seriously, that's how opportunities spring up. And sometimes you have to move on them fast. So, in summary, the global gaming industry is interconnected, and just like the world, it is smaller than you think. The gaming industry is wealthy. The gambling industry has attracted and created many billionaires. There's a lot of money in this industry, and even middle-ranking executives through stock options and IPOs have made millions in the process of their company growing, even if they were not a significant shareholder. Here's one little story which helps make it come to life. One of the tribal gaming casinos, which will remain nameless, was set up where most of the gaming revenues got channeled into tribal development and social programs, except for some pretty healthy stipends that went to the tribal members. Being a multi-billion-dollar operation, those stipends started to add up real fast, and the casino made a lot of tribal members very wealthy. Overheard at one meeting was the chief of the tribe, who was talking to his members about a regulator visit in the coming days. He advised them to leave the Bentleys and Lambos at home, and all he wanted to see was big old pickup trucks. He did not want to set the wrong tone for this meeting with the regulator by having luxury cars in the parking lot. And if you are left in any doubt about how much money this industry spawns, think of all those magnificent Taj Mahal-like casinos, all built in exotic locations. These palaces did not get built on winners, as one famous industry person used to say. And finally, one time when I was visiting the head of operations at a tribal casino, I asked him how business was. He replied that it was just like being a central bank. It was a license to print money. The gaming industry is collegial. The first thing you need to be fully aware of is that this is a very close-knit industry. Everybody gets to know everybody else. If they don't know them personally, then they will know them through direct contact or side channels. Why is this important? Well, like any close-knit group, it has both its challenges and wonderful benefits. The benefits far outweigh the negatives, but sometimes you've got to do a bit of careful management of professional reputation to stay on the right side of some of these people. So the first thing to say is be careful on your way up. It's like the old adage, you might be working for one of your former employees on the way down. And this is entirely true. Star power rises to the top, and mediocrity gets caught in the middle. So if you've got some star employees or colleagues, they will skyrocket up the charts. Also remember that your rivals are your allies. You will keep seeing the same faces at all different events. And as people move around, your relationship with them will change and grow for the better. You will become part of the collegial cohort of like-minded professionals who care about making the industry really solid. The final thing to comment on is that when work is done, you will attend a lot of social events and parties. That's when you can let your hair down and have a drink or two with some of your rivals, bounce ideas off each other, and compare notes. Of course, without giving away any trade secrets. But this is a key time to really understand the industry and build new allegiances. So don't be afraid to spend some friendly time dealing with so-called competitors. The gaming industry is entrepreneurial. A lot of the people in the gaming industry are originally from outside the industry. They come from a variety of backgrounds, from tech, law, entertainment, banking, hospitality, you name it. It covers the whole gamut. Sometimes these people will have a new concept and they want to disrupt the industry, or it might be someone trying to solve a problem that they see. So let's pick an example of each of those. One billionaire came up with the concept of playing multiple hands of poker at the same time, but done in a video format. He was able to license his intellectual property to one of the huge gaming companies, and he made hundreds of millions of dollars as a result of his concept's success in the marketplace. Yet another person came from a computer systems background, and he realized that casinos were complex businesses with a lot of moving parts and a huge amount of technology, and he saw a way of combining all those elements and creating the world's best casino management system. So there's no shortage of people who cut their teeth outside of the industry and who have had to learn a new set of concepts and skills. And even the smartest person in the world would find it a steep learning curve. The gaming industry is political. When it comes to legalized gambling, the issue becomes a political hot potato. On the one hand, it is all about economics, job creation, and commercial development. But on the other hand, there are social impacts, both good and bad. And on both sides of the ledger, there are wealthy interest groups and powerful lobbies who have the ear of high-ranking politicians. And not only in Washington, D.C., but in all of the states and all of the tribal sovereign nations who have or are looking to have some form of gambling. Here's one example. Major General Paul Harvey, unfortunately now deceased, was the first executive director of the Mississippi Gaming Commission. He was selected by the governor at the time to create an industry and regulate it the right way, right from the start. And that's exactly what he set out to do. But even with the support of the governor and some influential groups within the state, and even with the promise of economic development, job creation, and other forms of commercial activity, he still had quite a job on his hands. There are always people who will try to stonewall this kind of development. So yes, it is political, and it's something to be aware of. The gaming industry is influential. The factors that make it a hot political issue are the same factors that create a tremendous amount of influence. First of all, casino developers tend to have a lot of commercial clout. Think about these huge developments and all of the offspring opportunities they create. Hotels, hospitality, entertainment, restaurants, and then think about all the economic flow that comes from that. Developers need to have political leverage, because sometimes a piece of legislation just will not allow them to do some of the things that are considered in the best interests of most. And that's why it can sometimes take special lobby groups or lobbyists to help tweak the legislation to allow development to happen. Another factor is that some board directors for gaming companies come from other influential industries, whether it be tech, banking, entertainment, property development, law, you name it. And finally, economic development. There's nothing like spending a few $1 billion developing a hugely glamorous entertainment complex that hastens other forms of development in the region. Anything from service and retail industries through to new housing and commercial property. It really can change an area's economic development in double-quick time. The gaming industry is regulated. We're talking about the legal gambling industry here, and it is heavily regulated. The first thing you need to understand is that you are allowed to play in this space at the regulator's will and pleasure. What that means is this. Even if you check all the boxes, it doesn't guarantee that you will get licensed by the gaming regulator. They can, whatever the reason or whim, disallow you. The other thing is that if anyone runs foul of a regulator for whatever reason, the regulator is duty-bound to notify the other regulators why a license has been revoked or is under scrutiny. So it's a very tight group who are all aware of each other's developments. I remember speaking with the chairman of one of the major gaming companies. He was the former dean of the legal faculty at a major university and a senior political advisor to his country's prime minister. And even with all of that, he could not believe the amount of scrutiny that he was put under when he applied for licensing in the various jurisdictions where they operated. It's no joke. It is a big ask. A lot of people see regulation like a handbrake, and partly they are right. But we like to think of it more like carbon ceramic brakes on a Formula One car. If you think about brakes on a Formula One car, they're not about making it slower, they're about getting around the track quicker. Good brakes achieve a faster lap time by letting the car go into a corner faster without spinning off the track. The regulations are there to protect operators and gamblers alike. Sticking to the regs allow you to keep operating and keep earning good money if you're successful. It's also like pulling up the ladder from other competitors who are not licensed or following the regs. You have an immediate and massive advantage. So if you adjust your thinking about regulators and why they are necessary, it just makes dealing with that whole aspect so much easier. The gaming industry is full of opportunity. In this industry, you will meet some characters. There is no doubt about that. Sometimes it's hard to tell a billionaire from the janitor. That's how similar they can look. I remember having a burger at a cafe with a person who was said to be worth more than $10 billion, and he looked like any other person in that cafe. So don't judge a book by its cover, and don't judge a person by their Levi's. Because the gaming industry is incredibly competitive, progress is rewarded. If you're able to achieve objectives and capture beachheads, you will become a valuable commodity in the industry. You will become known for scoring touchdowns and kicking field goals. You will be a most valuable player, and opportunity will come knocking. The gaming industry is fascinating. It's Wall Street meets Silicon Valley meets Hollywood. It's got all the money, the tech, the entertainment of all those three industries all combined into one. It is one of the few industries where you could be talking about investment banking in one meeting, animated graphics in another meeting, and casino management systems in another meeting, all in one day. Don't be daunted by this. Be fascinated by this. This is one of the things that keeps the industry fresh. It can keep you alive with enthusiasm and new opportunities. The gaming industry is entertaining. Entertainment is a big part of the industry, whether it's part of a major casino's offering or is the other side of doing business with customers. If you mix with customers, you will go to various events, dinners, and parties. It's just the nature of the industry. There are people from all walks of life. They might come from the entertainment industry, they might be entrepreneurs, they might be technocrats, or they might have previously been a dealer at one of the casinos. Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has something to offer. Most of all, expect the unexpected. You will encounter surprises. Here's one story told to me by an executive casino host I knew. An executive host is a person who can attract and look after the whales, the really big spenders. In one story of hers, Kerry Packer, a well-known Australian gambler, had a big win and asked this host, "Do you have a mortgage, and if so, how much do you owe on it?" She responded that she did have a mortgage and that she still owed hundreds of thousands of dollars on it. He immediately replied, "Consider it paid off," and he later issued her a cashier's check to pay out her mortgage. The gaming industry is diverse. Just when you think you're getting a handle on your own little pocket of the gaming world, you will be introduced to a totally new concept which takes a bit of understanding. For instance, there are land casinos and online casinos. Yes, there are many similar concepts, but in many ways they couldn't be more different. Within these casinos, you have slot machines and table games. Table games are your typical games like roulette, craps, and baccarat. There are card games such as poker and blackjack. And there are diverse games such as pai gow, sikbo, and wheel spin games. And of course, within the casino, there are sports books, back-end management systems, consumer marketing, customer loyalty, and many other unique technologies such as reservation systems, nightclub management. The list goes on and on. It is a huge and diverse industry, and no one individual could ever be 100% across it all. The final headline issue is that the gaming industry is always evolving. Just take the simple example of slot machines. These used to be humble, mechanical devices, and now they have become totally high-tech with huge 4K HD screens, dazzling graphics, and lots of interesting entertainment concepts. What also happens is that trends in one segment that do well tend to migrate to others. For instance, you might have a runaway success in the Japanese pachinko market, and this spawns a concept in the mainstream slot market in the United States. The other thing to consider is that laws are always changing, and that new jurisdictions are opening up. This is particularly evident in the states that don't have gambling now, but neighboring states do. Come the weekend, way too many residents flee through the borders and go and spend their money at a rival state casino. The home state doesn't get the revenue, and nor do the home state businesses. All that money migrates interstate, and thus builds the economic pressure to legislate gambling. And the final thing is that innovative concepts and new tech developments will find their way into this industry. One example is the recent rise of esports, which is competitive video game playing with some huge cash prizes and jackpots. Hopefully, this module has given you a quick understanding of why the gambling industry is so significant. And that's why, if you pardon the pun, if you play your cards right, you'll become a great success. So a word to the wise: knuckle down, do the work, and enjoy the spoils of success.